won't work. So make sure when you run this code, this small errors doesn't occur to you. So now you see that our code is run. It says that 168, 64 and 151 done, 3 of 3 file done. It take 3.5. Hello, I hope you are making progress in your Rust. And today we are not going to start from the beginning by creating a new project. I have already created a new project. So my package name is called the work counter and it's called 3 files. And this our main.rust looks like. So today we are going to cover an advanced topic in Rust called threads. And we are going to read 3 files and in different threads we are going to read the words inside it. So to start with the Rust coding, we have this function main and we are going to create something called the argument structure. You already know how to create structures in Rust by now, and it's pretty simple. We just give this and now we have to define our variable, which is basically in our case is files. It should be a vec type and it should be a string type. Now we are going to use something called a clap crate inside Rust. As you have seen my cargo.toml, I have already included this clap crate. You just need to do cargo add basically the clap, and then you will see this, and then you need to declare the version and the features part of it, which is pretty simple because if you have seen my previous video, I am quite doing it for Tokyo or Thursday.json, right? So now we use the clap crate. So we use clap, something called parsing, right? It will help us to basically parse our file argument. And then we use our macro here called derive. You have seen us deriving these macros quite often, right? And now you know why we do that. And the other macro that we need to derive basically, which will help us to store the metadata of the file, is called command macro, which store 3 information called author, version and about. Okay, and then obviously file is a required argument, so we are going to use another macro from the clap library. All these macros are from the clap library. If you didn't use the clap parser, you won't get this macro. Remember, you will see an error from the Rust analyzer in your code. So we say required is equal to true. And this is how our arg structure is done. Now we move to our main function. The first thing we are going to do here is basically read the argument. So we do let args is equal to args : parse, and we are done. So we have our argument. We are going to take some start time also into account. So we are going to say start time equal to instant : now. Perfect, we are done. So today we are going to use lot of std functions, and it's pretty simple. And then we are going to do, and this is one thing which I would really like to spend some time on, but first let me finish. What I'm going to write is called mpsc module, basically the module which will help us to create channels. Now, the first question you would be like, what are channels? So basically channels is a communication mechanism used to send data between one thread to another. Remember that this is very important, right? You have to use basically the mpsc module, the sync mpsc module, which is provided by the Rust. It says some error. So it says that type declared in channel G, it's of unknown type, but it's okay. It will figure it out later when we are going to use it. Now, mpsc stands for multiple producer or single consumer. You have seen this problem a lot if you're learning any advanced programming language. You have seen that, this is a where you have to use the mutex and the synchronization logs. So what we want to do here is that multiple threads can send the data, but only one thread can receive the data. So mpsc channel basically returns you a tuple. Tx mean basically the transmitter or our sender. Rx mean the receiver or basically someone which will receive the data. So you are creating a channel pair. One more thread used to send the value through Tx, while a single thread will use to basically receive the value. So let's move on. Now what we do is that we say let number of files, that the number of files we have is equal to args dot files dot length, not last but length. So now we have the number of files that we are going to use in our code. The next step for us to create a progress bar. I know you don't, so basically what I wanted to do, something fancy, is to create a progress bar. Whenever you install an application in Linux, you see this progress bar, right? This is what we are going to do. To use the progress bar, what we need to do is to have a crate called indicatif or something like that. So what we do is that we go to our one, I will clear this. So we do cargo add indicatif. So this is the crate we are going to use, and now it has included our progress bar. So we go to our modules, we say indicatif. Our Rust analyzer is basically still building the crate, so that's why it doesn't give you option. And if our Rust analyzer is done, we can also wait for it a bit, and then you will see that we are able to load it out. So our Rust analyzer is done, and now we basically can use the progress bar. So I need to use the progress bar from here, and then I give a column. Okay, so the next step is to use the progress bar. For that, I will name it a pb equal to progress bar ::new. So we are going to create the new colon file, and basically we will use the number of files. That's all. So the length of the progress bar should be equal to the number of files. Okay, and we can also give the as use 64 if you want to. Okay, so basically we are saying that use it as like a long 64-byte integer, not a small unsigned integer. Now we want to set the style in the progress bar. So for that we use the set style function of the progress bar, and this particularly has a bit of a template version. So what you are going to use here is called progress style, right? And that also comes from our indicatif library, and you see that as soon as you use the progress style, it automatically got added into our module as well, right? So I'm going to use the progress style, and we are going to save with template, and the template would be here, the pretty simple template. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to mark it like this. So you need to actually copy it from my code as well, because the syntax is pretty straightforward, but you have to write it this way, otherwise it won't work. This is the problem. So we have so we give a elapsed time, and then basically we define the bar, and you have to define the bar in this way, bar 40, and then as you have defined the bar, you can give the color as well. So I am giving the color cyan / blue, and then you need to give the position and length, which can be anything. So you give like this, something like this. So POS, and then you give /length, and then you just give the files. So you give space files, and this should work. Yes. Yeah. So this is basically the syntax. I know it's a bit complicated in syntax, but you can obviously get it from it from my GitHub library. Okay. Now basically, as we are done with this, again, this is a function which can panic. So we are going to use our unwrap function here. Unwrap. You know that what does unwrap do is that whenever basically something wrong happens, it will just we'll give the panic mode here. So basically it will not send the panic mode to the caller, but basically it will panic right here. Okay, so we are done here. We use unwrap, and then we use the progress. Yeah, so we have to use the unwrap here, and then we basically use our progress. PRO, it doesn't work with, so it's just saying that it has some problem, but let me figure out what it is. So we have given the files, we have given the unwrap, and then basically we will figure out the problem. So basically it should say like what should be the progress characters are. So it takes three things. The first thing is the filled part, which is hash. The second thing is the current character, which is also hash, and the remaining part basically which it needs to fill with, it will be ... And basically this ends our progress time bar. So this is done, and we have to basically give a comma here, I think so, and then we are done. Oh, okay. So unwrap shows a problem. So it shows that there's no method unwrap. Why there's no method unwrap? Unwrap, not unwrap. Okay, now it works. Fine, we have done the problem. Now the main thing starts. Now we have to basically spawn the threads. So what we are going to do is that for file underscore path in args dot files dot clone, and then for every path we are going to do it let tx is equal to tx dot clone and let pb equal to pb dot clone thread. So std thread colon, I think it should also add std thread. Perfect, it did add it. So we are going to do std thread, and then we are going to use our spawn variable, and then we are going to use f is called move, and then we are going to pass it with this, and I will explain you a bit by bit, don't worry about it. And then you press enter. So what this first line is doing, so basically this particular line is starting a new thread, and the move keywords basically moves the ownership of the captured variable inside into a thread. So basically what we are using here is file path, and it will move this, and inside this closure, so basically this closure, we are going to read the file, count the words, send the results to the channel, and update the progress bar. And that's why you see we have done not pb.clone. Yeah, we have also taken our progress bar. Let's do a thing step by step. So first thing, we are going to get the content. So let content, because now we are inside the loop and inside the thread. So we are going to do the fs, and we want to do the ss. We are going to use the stdfs. As you said enter, it will automatically add the fs into your std, like into your paths or in the start. So we are going to use the read library, and then we are going to use the read to string here, and we are going to pass ampersand our file path here. Perfect. Now we have passed the file path here. We are again going to use our unwrap function here, and we are going to say if we are able to unwrap or else. We are going to say else, we are going to panic and just print like, okay, fail to read. So we are going to say unwrap or else, and then we are going to capture everything here with the underscore, and then we are going to say panic. And what to do panic, we say failed to read. So in case if your file is not available, it can do this to you. So it will just panic and say that the file is not available to read. Maybe I can show you how it panics later on in the code as well, when we basically go to the output of it. So now we are done. So now we are going to create our fun function that in this library we are going to do is our count function. The count function basically which is needed to count the number of variables. So here we are going to create our function which say count words. It's obviously take content, right? And then gives the output basically the use size. And so content is showing error because we haven't declared what type of it is, and it will find out. So content dot split underscore white space colon dot count. Maybe I should declare what type of it is. So it is of ampersand str, and we do count. And you know that in the end statement we don't have to give a semicolon because this is basically this is the return statement. So it works. And now we are going to use the same thing here. It is showing an error, but we will see why it is showing an error. It is showing that mistype match use a semicolon here, but we did use a semicolon here. Maybe let's see. We will figure it out because it needs a return value, and I think I didn't provide a return value yet, and that's why it is panicking. But we don't need to worry about that right now. So we can just do here like this, and now we are going to use our let count is equal to count underscore words, and we pass our content here, right? and then we send to our thread tx.send, and here we need to send two things here, which is basically file path comma count, and then we are using unwrap here, and then we are closing this. The last thing we need to do here is that pb dot increment, which is basically by 1. So we are going to increment our progress bar by which delta, which is 1. And now this error will also go because it know what a receiver and what our runtime is. Fine. Now we have basically each thread now will do its job independently, and then the main threads will collect all the result by receiver side of the channel. Perfect. Now we are going, after this code, we are going to drop our tx. So basically we are closing our thread, which is our tx, basically the transmitter, and we will calculate the size or something, right? So for file comma count in rx, all the receiver threads, because we are receiving everything, we are going to do println file comma count. Let it do like this: file and count words, count and words, and then we close our brackets, right? So we have printed everything that we have counted, and we just increase the total by the number of count. Increase the total by number of count. Total plus equal to, just not plus, equal to. Now this is the one thing which I really like, that it has taken the best attribute of every language, right? It shows an error. Rx is moved due to this into equator into previous iteration of the loop. Did I use value used here after the move? Move occur because HTTP is under user, it doesn't implement a copy trait, but we did use clone here, tx.clone, and that means it's a copy. We are not using our actual thing, and that's why we should be able to close it. But no, not this. rx.clone. Can I dynamically clone it? Let me see. We will figure this out, right? And then later on, what we can do here is we need to close everything, and we do progress bar dot finish with messages, and we say done, because we are done now. And then you remember that we have calculated the start time, so we say how much time it took to complete the whole program is equal to start time dot elapsed, basically, which will tell us how much time it will elapse, and we will print basically println, and then we say total words is equal to total. Here we have created a word total, and we use the word total here, and println. The last line we are going to print is basically the elapsed time we have taken. So elapsed time is the time basically which has taken, which is basically our duration. Okay, let me run this. Cargo run. So there are various mistakes in this code right now. We will solve it once we see the compiler errors. Okay. So now we are going to see. So first, say duration cannot be formatted with a default form. Okay. So this is called duration, and yeah, because okay. So duration needs to be done something else, like :2 ? And then we need to pass duration here, because duration is not exactly a string. Duration is an object. So we need to basically so basically duration also implement a struct trait, and then we can print it like this, like we usually print our other things. So basically we need to close this here, and then we have to pass the duration here. So basically we say that we are going to like print the duration. So this is done. It says PB. So the only issue which was right now here is that you see the indentation of the loop is not correct. So this loop should be finished before we drop our tx, and that's what it was saying the issue is, right? And then we don't need to create this variable called pb_1 or something like that. It should work automatically, right? And now everything is working fine. And then we can basically go to our cargo.run. We can just clear this out, and we just do cargo.run, and it says tx.1 not found. Okay, we will fix this. This is not very difficult to fix. So we remove this one as well. We save it, and we do cs code. We are going to run our code. So we do our cargo run, and it didn't work because obviously we didn't provide the files, right? So what we need to do is to provide the 3 different files. I did that. And if we do cargo run, it says that there's an error at line number 29. Okay, let's look at line number 29. So it is actually this. If I go through this, okay, so what we have done is that this is wrong. We have to write perfectly like elapsed time called precise, nothing else. So this is basically a template, like a templated version, and you have to write it exactly like this, otherwise it won't work. So make sure when you run this code, this small errors doesn't occur to you. So now you see that our code is run. It says that 168, 64 and 151 done, 3 of 3 file done. It takes 3.5695 millisecond. Obviously you won't see this progress bar so fast. So if you want something, you can have like a little. So let's increase the length of our file to test it again. So what we do is that we do control V, we just press enter, and we increase it so much that it takes bit of time, because currently it is taking 3 milliseconds just to do it, right? And then we save it. And now we run using the same command as like this. And now this time you see that this was so fast that you're not even see the progress bar. For the second one, you are able to see the progress bar, but it is taking some time. And for the third one, you see it is taking a lot of time. And currently we got increased from 20 to 4343 milliseconds. So you can obviously increase the words in a different type and test the code again, and which will help you basically to understand how this code works. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, have a nice day. Bye bye.